What's good, everybody? Welcome into Inside the Green Room with Danny Green. I'm Harrison Sanford. Happy to be with you guys, and we'll be happier if you go to your podcast app or the Audacy app and give us a 5-star review. We'll be ecstatic if you're watching us on YouTube, or if you go to the YouTube page and hit that subscribe button and give us some comments. We definitely appreciate it. I am excited, Danny, because football season is coming up. NBA season is coming up slowly, but I'm excited because summer's boring, bro. Summer's boring, bro. But we're getting close. We're getting close to that time, and I'm excited because coming into this new basketball season, you and I are going to be working on some new things for the show, and it's giving me some life. I think we're going into year 7 now, season 7.
Yeah.
So
season 7, bro.
You and I are talking about
thought you said
we want to do.
Boring. Everybody usually loves the summer, especially
no.
About the weather. Now it's too hot. But kids, when you're in school, you love the summer because you're out of school. But as an adult with no kids anyway, when you're an adult with kids, you probably hate the summer too. But yeah, bro, summer is dry when it comes to the sports world. But yeah, new and exciting, ecstatic. So yeah, make sure y'all tune in. We got some good stuff coming aboard. So yeah, man. Yeah,
slowly making some improvements. And even when you think about just year 7 of the show, bro, and you and I talked about it. When we started the pod, we thought we were behind the 8 ball. We thought we were behind the 8 ball, bro.
Look at people doing it.
Yeah, well, not even just podcasts in terms of NBA players doing it or people affiliated with the league. We thought we were just behind the 8 ball in terms of podcast in general. Yeah. Just in the world of podcasting. Do you know, Danny, that there are over 550,000 podcasts now?
No, I did not. And I'm wondering how many had started in the last 3 to 5 years. And we've been going for year 7. So I think most of them probably in abundance probably started within the last 5 years, like probably 3 or 4 years, even in some of the top ones, which is crazy. Said we thought we were behind. We're pioneers at this point.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, there's a lot of learning lessons that we've definitely had. And a lot of things have changed since we started podcasting. So excited to kind of keep on moving on with the movements. And I will say, for all the entrepreneurial media people out there, it is kind of dope that if you are good at it or if you know how to work it, it could actually be a way to live. And it's crazy to think about that, Danny. Like, the power of the microphone is now power of
technology, man. You could make money and have jobs in numerous various ways in today's world. Kids don't just have to go to school and get a degree to be able to have a job. You can find jobs on social media. You can do podcasts. Obviously, there's advantage and disadvantage to everything, but it's great, man, for the world to be able to have these resources and opportunities for people to be able to make a lifestyle out of doing these type of things. So I'm all for it. Obviously, you want to raise your kids differently. You don't want them to be all up in iPads and screen time. You want them to actually live life and be outside. But it is a great, valuable thing to learn and be up to date with, to be able to, make some type of a living off of it, or money, or whatever, some resources. It could be a side hustle. It could be a lot of different things, but it's great to have that type of resources for people trying to find themselves, and they can kind of do it in their own home.
Well, Danny, you bring up a good point, because as we talk about kids and how technology is impacting things, I wanted to get into our first of 3 out-of-pocket comments. And the first one comes potentially from Kendrick Perkins. Kendrick Perkins was recently on his podcast with Shannon Fry, and he basically said that going to public school is not the recipe for success if you are a high school basketball player. He's basically saying you got to go to the prep schools, you got to go to the charter schools, maybe even the homeschool basketball associations or the homeschool athletic associations. Throw high school out the window, according to Kendrick Perkins, because if you go to like your local public school, you are going to be behind, because the amount of effort and the amount of training and the amount of concentrated focus that these prep athletes are now putting into basketball is going to is so advanced now that if you're not doing it, you're going to hurt your chances of moving forward in the game of basketball. As a guy who now has 2 kids, obviously they're far away from being in high school. What are your thoughts about Kendrick Perkins? What he said? Is he out of pocket or not?
He's not out of pocket. I think I wouldn't say the approach or the way he said it sounded kind of out of pocket, but he's not wrong, and even though it's far away, as soon as you have kids, you start thinking about these things. Like, how do you want to raise them? And I do think, playing devil's advocate, what Channing Frye was saying, it's good for their personality to be a part of public school, in terms of being an overall, or I forget what he said, well-rounded human is what he said, something along those lines. But if you're trying to be in sports, it's a shame, but that's today's world. If you don't have the resources, you're not going to make it. So back in the day, we say back in the day, it wasn't that long. To us, it wasn't that long ago. But our time, there was a lot of kids be able to make it out of, situations that, pretty bad. I wouldn't say bad, but the minorities or people that are in bad situations, kids coming out of the hood, be able to, like, move their families out of the projects. We're not going to see that as much anymore because, it's a good thing for the sport, but the sport has grown so much now. America is starting to take a page out of the book from, Europe, overseas. Got people from other countries. They start professionally a lot younger and a lot earlier, and they're playing at an early age. Now these kids are taking care of their bodies. They're doing this type of training in high school, and they're not given that type of training at the public school. So what Perk is saying is not wrong. Like, if you want your kid to be recruited highly, to go to school and get paid to go to school or get to play at professional level, you have to get them this early and take it serious early. And if your kid's in public school, in high school, unless he has a trainer, you have the funds to do personal training on the side and do it yourself, he is going to be behind the 8 ball. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be behind the curve, unfortunately.
It's sad. That's
it's very sad. It's very sad. But, I said I'm a believer in public schools too. So I want my kids to do at least a portion of public school just so they know, like, they need that toughness. They need some type of chip on their shoulder. They need to learn how to,
they need to know how to,
with the real world.
Need to know how to socialize, Danny. Like,
socialize and
if you're going
to, I don't know how to kind of weed yourself out of, the good and bad and place yourself something. You know what I'm saying? Like, in public school, will let you know, like, you're going to have a lot more obstacles in public school than you would in private school. And it comes with friends and knowing who are your friends, how to take on, people cracking on you or bullying or, that type of thing, and kind of, putting yourself in your own place. And then public, private school obviously is great with everything else. But it's a big part of socializing and growing up a little faster and kind of figuring things out on your own. Public school is. I'm not saying private school coddles kids, but it's kind of in that category in that sense. But it's a sad thing to look at of how far the discrepancy is between the two entities.
Danny, you made yourself a career in the league, not just because of your talents on the court, but your character and how you were able to ingratiate yourself with your teammates. You understood different. You understood different
knowing
types
personnel,
of
how to manage egos.
And exactly. So if you spend your entire high school career in the prep school environment, let's just say you go to like a all boys school, or you go to some far out place where you're not dealing with social circles, you're not knowing how to, this person's has to be taught to this way, this person has to be taught to this way. I know how to deal with the attention of women better because I'm not in an all boys school. You know what I'm saying? Like, these it's true. Like, you can go to an all boys school and then you start going crazy in college, and now you can't control yourself. You're not going to class. You have no discipline, and all of a sudden you could be great at dunking the ball. You could be great at shooting the three, but guess what?
No social skills. Overall human.
Mitch Johnson doesn't want you in his locker room. Guess what? Mike Brown doesn't want you in his locker room. And for most guys, they're not going to be stars. They're going to have to know how to fit in. They got to know how to be a elevator of chemistry. Exactly. So if you go to some prep school far and far away where you're not really you're not really having conversations, you're not dealing with the social challenges that any young person is going to have, you could be hit by a blitzkrieg and just not know how to fit in or elevate the chemistry of a locker room where it matters. And if you're not a star, then you know this. If you're not a star and you are hurting team chemistry, you're out of there. We don't need you.
No, I think and to give private school a little bit more credit, is not as bubbled as people think it is. There are some wild things that happen.
I think there's private school. And then there's the prep schools where you gotta go, go away. I think there's a big difference.
There's a big difference to all of them, but you still. I just think there's more, like you said, there's more diversity when it comes to the public school situations. When it comes to different races, different humans, male, female, how to operate, how to weed out the BS. Coming from the Northeast, New York, Philly, wherever all these people from, you learn people's character, or you figure out how to judge people's character. I think fairly quickly. And who is a con artist? Who is trying to get you? You're going to get hustled once or twice. You're going to get got, but you're going to learn faster. Being that you may not learn that in private school somewhere, but so you need that diversity. You need that social atmosphere to where you can figure out who is who. You know what I'm saying? How to judge character, and the sooner you can judge character, the sooner you can figure out how to manage egos, how to talk to people, how to approach people, how to be in a locker room, how to be a good teammate, how to be a leader. All those things come into play. So it is important. That's why I said I think it's a good, like for me, it's important that my kids have a mix of both. Also said, even though I'm in California, it's going to be important. It's very vital that my sons play some sports in the other states that their grandparents are in. The grandparents are in Houston, and my parents are in New York. It's like, they got to be there. They got to get a summer of playing in the boroughs. They got to be in Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx, just to see what it's like to live and hoop there, and to see where they're at. So, and obviously AAU, EYBL, it's all around. You travel, but it's like, they need a taste of these things to know not where I came from, but also how to learn how to maneuver and operate in certain atmospheres and certain circles. The public transportation in New York, man, will make you grow up faster than anything. So,
public transportation make you grow up quick, man. Yeah. It's funny. I was actually talking to this girl. Let's go into the dating chronicles of Harrison. I was talking to this girl, and I had to keep it real with her. I was like, I just feel like at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, I'm gonna end up marrying a woman who's from the South, from the West. From Canada,
New York people can't deal with other New York people, bro. Yeah, it's not good for our mental health. It's just a lot. I always suggest Northeast people, go find you somebody in the South, man. Like, go to Carolinas or Florida, even Texas. You know what I'm saying? You find you a good, wholesome, hospitable woman that'll take care. You don't need that hardness. Like I'm saying, New York people are tough all the time. You don't need that hardness on both sides. You know what I'm saying?
And she said, and I wasn't trying to get at her per se. I wasn't trying to take a shot at her, because I love all types of women, and I still very well could, marry a woman from New York. But she said, Harrison, you tried taking the subway on 125th Street in Harlem and being soft. Imagine you go to school every day and you're on Nordstrom, you're on what's it called? You're on Flatbush Avenue. You got to walk down Flatbush Avenue every day to go to school.
Ain't no such thing as being soft, bro. You got no choice.
Yeah, you getting catcalled left and right, and you're seeing all types of nonsense, drug activity, gang activity, all types of nonsense. You think you're gonna be soft?
Nah. It's just everybody that come at her, she got, what you talk? She talking in New York. Son, get out of here, son.
Yeah, and she has to, and she absolutely has to.
Yeah.
So survival of the fittest out here, bro. Survival of the fittest. All right, let's go. All right, let's go to the other topic here. And this one I think might qualify as out of pocket. But Jay Williams, you're tricky. You're tricky the way you put this one together. So Jay Williams was recently found on his Instagram account where he basically got at those who have criticized Michael Jordan for his ownership or how he ran, the Charlotte Hornets while he was the owner. At the end of the day, what Jay Williams pointed out in his Instagram reel was that, number one, Michael Jordan never went over the luxury tax. And two, when Michael Jordan finally sold the team, he sold it for $3 billion, which was very much a profit. I don't have the actual numbers of what it was valued at when he bought it. When he eventually sold the team, he sold it for $3 billion. So
I think they said he bought it at 245. Right,
245 million, and he sold it at $3 billion. So, for people who want so people who want to get at Michael Jordan, or some people even make it a part of their claims that because he ran the franchise so quote unquote poorly that he can't be the GOAT. But Jay Williams, a Dookie, defending Michael Jordan, saying that it only elevates and solidifies his GOAT status, how he operated as owner of the Charlotte Hornets. Your thoughts?
He's out of pocket. I love Jay Will. Don't get me wrong. I love Mike. I have many bad things to say about this was a great business move. But to say that he turned the franchise around, James, can you give us the stat of when last time Charlotte Hornets made the playoffs or the Bobcats? Like, all right, they were under luxury tax. You ran it a good business. You sold it for some good money. But turn it around and make it seem like he flipped it and rebranded it. That brand has been it's been tough. It's been tough for that organization for a while. And like I said, he may not have won a lot of games. He won in this aspect. He made a profit. But for saying he turned this franchise around and rebranded it and made it seem like it was something successful, I'm just going to have to respectfully disagree. I'm not one to speak badly on Michael Jordan. Greatest of all time in my eyes. Tar Heel, fellow alum, love him to death. And Jay Will, respected Dookie guy. I watched him when I was young, and even though it's not many Duke guys I do respect, but he's one of them, and we have a good relationship. And he has a lot of good takes, numbers. But this one, man, the last time I made it was 2016. Okay. Yeah, that's almost a decade ago. So, yeah, I can't say this was a rebranded turnaround.
They did make the play-in in 23 and 24. With that being said,
do you give a play-in as a successful season?
No. Okay.
No.
But here's where I'm going to champion what Jay Will said. And I think what we're seeing now in this new second apron CBA era of the NBA is what is really going to start being the norm. And we're going to start seeing a lot more Michael Jordans. I think what
teams
people
underneath the cap, you mean?
I think what people get misled by, that ownership groups that their main objective is to win championships. You are very fortunate. Fortunate, and you are lucky if you are a fan of a team who's owned by a leadership team that is okay with being in the red and for sake of winning a championship. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people who have earned enough wealth to own an NBA team, they're businessmen. And which businessman that could earn that much wealth actually wants to operate any business in a red? So I believe Jay was onto something, because it should not be seen as where it should be. Where we should be, Danny, is that teams should not be criticized for being fiscally responsible. And that's what the Charlotte Hornets have been. Now, they get blamed for being cheap, but in actuality, they are fiscally responsible. It's not their fault that some teams are willing to go $100 million in the red for the sake of winning a championship. That's
Golden State, Boston.
Come on, bro. That's
not everybody has that luxury, or that it's a luxury to be able to do that for sure. They're operating very smart. So it's a great business move. I give them a lot of flowers for that. You know what I'm saying? He's done amazing things on the court as a GM. He's done some decent things. They went to the playoffs 3 times, as James gives us. No playoff series wins. So yeah, as overall you look at it, no, it's not a success. But business wise, he's done some successful things with that organization. And I said at the cost of, people might call them cheap, which is okay. A lot of billionaires are supposed to be cheap. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not billionaires because they spend their money. You know what I'm saying? They spend their money everywhere. You know, they operate in a very respectable, disciplined way when it comes to their money. So he did what he was supposed to do.
Now I would say, when you have a franchise like that, who is pretty much set forth or not going over the luxury tax or things of that nature, number one, you have to draft very well. Like, your draft team, your scout team has to be A1. And I will say, and I don't want to sound like I'm siding with owners who don't want to spend any money, because I will say this: if you end up drafting an A1 type of player, a face of the franchise type of player, perennial all-star, potential Hall of Famer, if you end up drafting that guy, then I do think you are beholden to the fan base to go over the luxury tax to keep that player. I think that's where I think that's where things are. That's where if you don't go potentially into the red, or if you don't go into the tax to retain that player, then I think the franchise's fans have the right to be upset. I just don't think I think it's just unfair because there are certain markets and there's certain teams and there's certain leadership groups that literally blow other teams out of the water and can absorb the type of loss that some owners frankly can't. And there's not a level playing field, and to be blamed for not being as rich as somebody else is corny.
Yeah. But I will say, with all that being said, what you brought up, the main topic was where I thought they fell short of and why they weren't as successful as they could have been, the draft. They could have done some better things in the draft. So that's where it's like people because not only are they not winning, but they passed up or picked some other guys they shouldn't have picked over, and they missed out on some guys. And even in free agency, they picked up some decent picks, but there were some things they could have done a lot better with the draft and in free agency. But again, free agency, they're moving smarter with the money. But the draft is where they could have been better, for sure.
And I do think, and as somebody, I've been to Charlotte before. I know it gets painted as a small market or this place where players wouldn't want to go. Like, Danny,
it's a good place. They go there, they don't leave. You know, a lot of my Carolina guys, they love it there. So.
Yeah, no, I think Charlotte is a great market. I think they have a lot of work to do to change the perception of the franchise. But if they had a better perception, I think it would be one of the more desirable markets for NBA players to be in. It could easily 100%. Be in the upper half of desirable markets.
It's in the South, the weather's not that bad. The taxes aren't too crazy. I think it's a good place to live. You get a lot for your money there in the land in Carolina. So if they rebranded the way that Jay Will's talking about, the way they rebranded, I think they would get a plethora of more options in free agency of guys that would want to go there.
Yeah, they gotta wipe the stink. They gotta wipe the stink of being cheap off of them, but at the same time, what other teams are doing, like let's just say the Los Angeles Clippers, the Golden State Warriors, it really they're what the Hornets are doing shouldn't be seen as an anomaly, but it is because you have those Clippers and those Warriors of the world. It's a tough position to be in, but I do understand what Jay Williams is saying. I don't think he's out of pocket at all. Michael Jordan's number one job is to run a business.
Yeah, but say it's successful, out of pocket.
I understand that as well. All right, when we come back on Inside the Green Room, Danny and I are going to go through a list of players who could potentially get their jerseys retired. And we're thinking of this because Derrick Rose has just generated a reason for the highest ticket in Chicago Bulls history. We'll tell you why that is right after the break. We are back with more Inside the Green Room. Danny Green and Harrison Sanford. Make sure you find us on all things social. Inside Green Room on Instagram and Green Room Inside on X. Even though we haven't posted on X, Danny, there's just way too many social media handles out there. There's way too much social media out there, but that's a rant for another day. We got to get into some basketball news and commentary. Derrick Rose, the Chicago Bulls, announced that they will be retiring his jersey in January of 2026. And apparently it is the highest marked ticket in the history of Chicago Bulls. Now, obviously, there's inflation and all that, but a lot of Chicago Bulls fans, whether they're playing poorly or not, are going to be in the United Center to celebrate their own in Derrick Rose. There is no debate at all. Derrick Rose's jersey deserves to be retired. Could his career have been better? For sure. But even still, what he did up until the point of 2019 was enough to solidify him. And the fact that he's homegrown, oh my goodness, for sure he's going to be up there in the banners with Jordan and with Scottie. It's not a debate. But the next 5 people that we're going to talk about, there is a debate. Should their jerseys be in the rafters or not? Let's go through these 5 players. And first, we're going to start with one John Wall, who played for the Washington Wizards from 2010 to 2019. He's ranks top 5 in major categories for the team. He's the all-time assist leader, top 3 in steals, top 5 in points, 5 years as an all-star, made the all-NBA team 3 in one time in 2017, and made it to the playoffs 4 times. Does John Wall deserve to get his jersey retired in DC?
I want to say yes, because I don't know.
No.
I don't know. Again, James, you have to help me with this research, and maybe I have to go back into this arena. I don't remember. I don't know how many jerseys are up there. I don't know who else, what they have high regard. I don't know how many all NBA players, all-star. He spent a good amount of time there. How many years? He did what, 9 years there? 10 years?
Yes,
so
9 years.
That's a long time, man. If you spend that much time, they didn't get to the conference. He didn't get an MVP or anything like that. But I said, I've seen guys put their jerseys up for less. And he was a staple, man. He had a run. He brought them to the playoffs. They haven't been consistently in the playoffs since him and Brad on the right. I mean, Brad and Russ did it when John wasn't there, but Brad and John, man, they led that group to the playoffs and some great series throughout his tenure there. And they were not good much before him and much after him. So like his run was a pretty good run for the city of DC. And
to be fair,
congratulations first and foremost, J-Dub. I'm putting your jersey in the rafters, brother. You deserve it, man.
To be fair, I don't know the history behind Phil Chenier. I don't know. So that's one of the 5 players who's got his jersey retired. There's also Wes Unseld.
There's only 5 guys up there.
Yeah, Elvin Hayes and Earl Monroe. So again, you could put it up against the standard of what those guys have done. But at the end of the day, if I'm the Washington Wizards and I want to set a standard looking forward, and I want to really exude excellence, I want to portray that we can be an excellent basketball team, I'm not putting any jersey in the rafters of a player that didn't make to the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm not retiring any jersey of any player if you haven't at least. Hold on.
Okay.
Under John Wall, they haven't even won 50 games in a season. So yes, did John Wall have an era under the Washington Wizards? Undoubtedly had an era. But did he actually lead them to notable success? No. Maybe notable success for the franchise in itself.
For Wizard standards, that's very notable success.
But again, Danny, we don't want to. No franchise wants to start being the franchise that hangs up division-winning banners. That's just an unbecoming look. Even if it's your first time winning the division in 30 years, you start hanging up division-winning banners. That is unbecoming, and that starts to say that we're going to celebrate mediocrity. We're not trying to. Yes, we're not trying to celebrate mediocrity.
Organization, this is not mediocrity, bro. Some teams put an in-season tournament banners up. Some teams do division titles. This organization is not fortunate enough or have the luxury to be like pick and choose. Like, and now if you're Boston Celtics and Los Angeles Lakers where you have 16, 17, 18 titles, okay, I get that. But if you only have 1 title and a couple all NBA guys and 1 MVP, all that should be in the rafters. And if you don't have many playoff runs with this group, and the Wizards said, even when Mike was there, the Wizards were not good. Like, the Wizards have not been known to be the bullet. Like, they have not known to be good for as long as they've been alive. As long as they've been alive, as long as I've been alive anyway. So if this guy had a playoff run, I think he's in favor. I think he's on the side of getting in there and respectfully having his number up there. So yes, I get what you're saying there's a standard, but that's only for certain organizations. And this is not mediocrity for certain organizations. This is greatness for certain organizations. If you're the Charlotte Hornets and you're, the Sacramento Kings, the teams that have not been to the conference finals or Western Conference finals or even the finals or won a championship, you have a player like this, a number 1 pick, you celebrate him.
I recognize John Wall's impact for the Wizards. He was a very good player for the Wizards. I respect him. He actually took out my team, Cornell, in the NCAA championship. Salute to you. I mean, NCAA tournament, Sweet 16 game. I'll never forget it. Salute to John Wall. It was a great career, but the man never led a team to 50 wins in the season. And that should end all debates. You got your opinion. I got mine. We got to do at least. We got to do at least. One? Yeah, we got to do at least one more. And I love this topic so much, Danny. No. We only got time for one. We'll do one more, and then we'll roll over this for next week as well. Because I love going through these. And during this summer, I think it's worth discussing. All right, let's go to the next one here. All right, Paul George played 7 seasons with the Indiana Pacers, made the Eastern Conference Finals in 2013 and 2014, 4-time All-Star, more All-Stars than less All-Stars than John Wall, but again, more success as a team. But he did leave the team in 2017 and hasn't necessarily had the greatest relationship with the fan base since then. Does he deserve to get his jersey retired?
I'm gonna, as the man, this is tough.
Say it how you feel it, bro.
As a part of the fraternity, I always
we're not. No, Dick, stop the nonsense, bro. Stop the nonsense.
As I'm looking at it, I'm gonna say no. I thought he was there longer. I thought he had more All-Stars. 7 years is a good amount of time. The reason I push for John Wall because 9-10 years, you don't see that happen often, even though he didn't have as much team success. Paul George had more probably team success, individual success. He probably had more in OKC where he's a top candidate for MVP, like voting, but he was never MVP. I don't know how many All-NBAs he had in Indiana or OKC or anywhere else. But yeah, I'm gonna say no. I don't think he's done enough tenure. He hasn't done enough there, and unless he was like unbelievable community guy where he's done some state, like, you know what I'm saying, where he had a intricate part of the fan base, like what Bobby Portis has in Milwaukee or something like that, or Udonis has in Miami. I just don't see that happen. You have Bruce Bowen in San Antonio. Like, if you're one of those guys that the people loved, the organization loved, you did so much for the organization. I don't see him as one of those guys for Indiana. So I'm going to say no.
Yeah, I'm going to say no as well. And again, it's not because of his quality as a player, because Paul George throughout his career has been a very good player. But I just go down to the fact that he expressed his desire to leave and eventually got traded for Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis. And they had a good run too. Yeah, they were good too. Yeah, they were good too. But he also hasn't cured his relationship with the Indiana Pacers fan base. They don't celebrate him. They don't necessarily welcome him when they come back. They don't
give a video at all.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah. He complained about not being celebrated by them. And point blank, period. If your fan base doesn't want your jersey in the rafters,
he deserves a video. Though.
Okay, fine. You get sure.
It's just too late now. They should have been to the video.
If you want a video where you're just going to get booed the whole time, then sure, you should have got the video. But at the end of the day, I would almost give John Wall a better case to have his jersey retired, even though I don't think he should have his jersey retired, than I would Paul George, because one would lead me to believe if John Wall goes back to Capital One Arena and they say John Wall is in the building tonight.
Nah, they welcome him open arms, bro. Warm welcome.
Arms. If the fan base is going to boo you, then you shouldn't be in the rafters, and that was part of my reason why I thought Kevin Durant's jersey shouldn't be.
I'm with you, bro. But if you win an MVP, you got to do some extreme things to not be in that rafters. That's what I'm thinking. You have to have done some wild things off the court to not be put in the rafters.
The MVP changes. MVP changes.
It should be an automatic solidify. Unless you do some craziness out there, you should be in the rafters, but that's just my take. Anyways,
all right, yeah, let's just do one more, and we'll save. Maybe we'll do this kind of like for the rest of the summer.
We'll do it quick. Yeah, we'll do it quick.
Yeah, we'll do one more. Let's do Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin, also a part of the Amazon NBA team. Looking forward to see what he got behind the mic. He led Lob City from 2011 to 2017. He had 3 playoff appearances, and he helped the team that was pretty much dormant really rise to prominence. They made the playoffs in 6 of his 7 years there. 5-time All-Star, 2010, 2011 Rookie of the Year, 3 times All-NBA second team. And if you think, again, Dave, let's go back to, if you go back to John Wall, only made a third team once. That was his highest achievement in terms of making all NBA team. But let me stay on Blake Griffin. All NBA second team 3 times, third team 2 times, all as a Clipper, and also slam dunk champion. The reasons why you can go against him per se, multiple losses in the playoffs or disappointing exits in the playoffs.
Listen.
And then hold on.
This is easy, bro. We don't have to go. We don't. Listen. Blake Griffin deserves his flowers. He was an unbelievable, amazing. He was a fucking beast. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have kids that growing up, I'm gonna have watched tapes of him, like all these guys that don't get enough credit for what they changed, like how he's changed the game at that position, what he's done at that position. He was unstoppable at a point, but the resume is not enough. We know it's not enough to put his name or his jersey in the rafters for 4 or 5 seasons. You think it's enough? I'm shocked that you think it is. Because he has 2 NBAs?
Yo, you're bugging, yo. Okay,
he's only there for 4 or 5 seasons. Bro, they didn't make it to the Western Conference Finals.
He was there for, let me see.
5 seasons?
7 seasons. 7 seasons.
6.5. He tried to trade he got traded right after he signed that contract. They traded him the first year after he signed the big contract. So I thought it was 6 years. So it's like 6 years.
Here's the
2011 to 2017.
Here's the thing. He has
they make
more
it to the Western Conference Finals?
Yeah, we gotta look at it. I don't think they did. No. Okay. No. You see, you can't do that. You can't do that because
this was your standard.
No. Well, they also, the Wizards never won 50 games, Danny. They never won 50 games. And yes, they made the Western Conference Finals. That's when they blew that.
He was there for 9 years, bro.
Hold on. They did go to the Western Conference Finals. That's when they blew that 3-1 lead to the Houston Rockets.
That was the second round.
Second round to go to the Western Conference Finals. Okay. All right, fine. Nonetheless, Danny, when Blake Griffin was there, he was undoubtedly one of the top 15 players in the NBA, evidenced by the fact that he was second team 3 times, third team 2 times. And then on top of that, Danny, hold on, let me finish. You cannot tell the story of the Los Angeles Clippers. You can't tell the story for more than 30 seconds without mentioning Blake Griffin. If you were to put a highlight reel together of the Los Angeles Clippers, the all-time Los Angeles Clippers, Blake Griffin, his highlight is going to be in the first 5 seconds.
So you don't think John Wall's in that? For the John Wall, listen,
a difficult argument.
By your standard, listen, I'm going by your standard. Only person in these categories that I would consider is John Wall because he has 9 years in the organization, and because the organization
9 years is
bad, and the organization's been so bad for so long that he brought it to a point to where they were decent. Didn't the same thing happen with Blake Griffin? Didn't the same thing happen with Blake Griffin? Moments where they were good, they had to. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
They had no. The
knucklehead era wasn't. Yes, you could identify it. It doesn't mean they were great. This Clippers team,
I'm not saying great. They were good enough. They're always respectable, and they were good after he left. They were good after he left.
Danny, John Wall has never been on a team in a weak Eastern Conference that won more than 50 games.
The Clippers went to the Western Conference Finals after Blake left.
You got me hitting the mic. That's it, bro.
Did the Clippers make the Western Conference Finals after Blake left?
Yes, they did. Oh, but hold on, let me finish. If you look, and then if you also look at just what was John Wall's positioning in the NBA versus Blake Griffin's positioning in the NBA when they hold on, let me finish. 3 times Blake Griffin was all NBA second team. So you could make an argument he was a top 10 player 3 times. And then he was an all third team 2 different times. So between those seasons, he was seen as a top 15 player in the NBA. John Wall, during all of his years of not winning 50 games for the Washington Wizards, only made the all NBA team once. And that was on the third team. So was he there for a long time? Yes. Can you make a highlight reel of the Washington Wizards without putting John Wall? Absolutely not. He definitely left a mark, but he did not have a great level of success. And when he was a notable name there, a marquee name there, he still wasn't a marquee name in the NBA.
I'm going back to this, right? This is my main point of everything. I always push for the player. I think all these guys could be retired in their respective organizations.
For sure. But come on now.
It comes down to the organization making a decision. Again, I don't know who's in the Clippers rafters. I'm assuming there's more people in the rafters.
I'll tell you who's in the Clippers rafters.
And Washington, D.C.
Oh, no, nobody's in the Clippers. Nobody's in the Clippers rafters. Nobody.
So they have no jerseys. They have a higher they have a higher standards, what you're saying. No, not
they also haven't had a lot of success.
I think they have more success than the Washington Wizards. Now, going by your standard is the reason why I say no to all these. The only person I would push for was John Wall. I push for all of them. The only reason I said no, because your standard is like, look, there's no MVPs. There's no real – All NBA is great. But I'm going back to what they've done for the organization. Like, their organization, yes, there was a time. They had a time. But if you're saying John Wall can't be in the Raptors, then Blake Griffin should damn sure, because he did less seasons. And they weren't that – they didn't – yes, there was Lob City, but he also had a lot more help there to make that team very good. They didn't make the Western Conference Finals. They had a team that should have been – they should have won a chip at one point. Bro, come on. What are we talking about here? Like, they beat us in the first round. They were up 3-1 in the second.
Oh, so that's where it's coming from.
I think that all these guys should be retired. But by your standard, if he didn't play a lot of seasons there, he doesn't have the resume to me does not speak enough to be like, oh yes, he for sure. And I don't know. Again, I don't know they don't have nobody. So if that means they have nobody, it means they must have a very high standard for somebody being retired. Now, if they had a bunch of people
get retired,
he did a long time there as well, and he's all-time assist leader, 22 years in the league. He's done some years there.
Is Blake Griffin a Hall of Famer?
I think he could be. I don't know. I have to look at the numbers. I think he's very well, and if he is Hall of Famer, then he definitely deserves his jersey retired.
Well, again, but I think the way the Basketball Hall of Fame works, though, Danny, he was so much of an icon that he's going to be. I think he's going to eventually get in the Hall of Fame.
He's going to consider. He's
definitely considered, but he definitely is going to be in there.
He's also individual for that organization. I thought he did more years. He only did 6 seasons there. I thought he did more years there for some reason. He did less years than both PG and John Wall in their respective cities. So yeah, I do think he should. But I said also I'm comparing to they have nobody in the Raptors. So yeah, maybe he should be the first. But like if you're setting the standard of a CP, then I don't know who you go with. You can't even put Kawhi in. Can you put Kawhi in there? Can you put Paul George?
No, you can't put Kawhi. No, you can't put
none of those guys in there.
No.
If you can't put Kawhi in there, then you can't put because he's gonna do probably the same amount of years as Blake Griffin.
I already know your answer, but we'll save it for next week. Should Kawhi Leonard have his jersey retired in San Antonio? We'll save that for next week. We'll go through a lot more of these players. Looking forward to Danny's insight on that. This has been Inside the Green Room with Danny Green. I'm Harrison Sanford. Danny, tell them what to do, please.
Read, rate, subscribe, review. Peace.